Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name is Austin.
And my name is Patrick.
And guys, welcome to our show. Well, guys, we're back with another video this week, and we got some exciting news to get to first, Pat.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, check out this awesome new merch. The Young Americans Abroad merch is finally out. I know you all have been waiting for some great merch here, especially with the boys getting that Nations League trophy. It's trophy season for the clubs, Austin. Just a lot of great stuff going on, and we had to provide you some great merch.
That's very true. And you know, we got this awesome new logo as well. So go check that out. There's a link in the bio here of this video. And like you said, Pat, it was such a historic season for the YAAs and all the trophies that we won. That we won. That's true. That we won.
Right.
We wanted to commemorate it with a shirt. So on the back of this shirt, we have all the trophies that the players won this season listed. So again, go check that out on our merch store. And I think you guys are going to like it. So with that said, Pat, I guess we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to get into today, and that's just looking at some of our players, where they're at this summer, some clubs that they're rumored with, and some moves that we think we could see, this summer for some of our YAAs. So today we're going to talk about 5 players we think will make a move this summer. And Pat, we got some exciting names on this list. Some high-profile USMNT players.
We certainly do, Austin. It's an interesting time. Competition's heating up. We just won the Nations League, World Cup qualifying, all that incoming. Just a lot of competitions around the board for all the different positions. So players are trying to get to the best clubs and reach the highest potential that they have, which is great to see.
Yeah, you really can't blame them, Pat, especially when you see the moves that we made last summer with Serginho Dest joining Barcelona, Wes McKennie joining Juventus. There's a lot of USMNT players at high-profile clubs now. And, it's really becoming the norm for our players. So the first player we're going to talk about today is Konrad de la Fuente. And honestly, Pat, Konrad may be the first player to move this summer. And it's rumored he's going to Marseille for a little over 3.5 million euros. The move could be completed as early as this week, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and keep you guys updated. But really an exciting move when you think about it. Marseille next year will be in the Europa League. Their team that is losing Florian Thauvin, their best attacker out wide, to Tigres, which Tigres out of all teams is gaining another French player. So that's interesting, like you said. But that really opens up a lot of space for Konrad, coming into this club. They have Dimitri Payet still at the club, who is a fantastic player, but he's 34 years old, so, a little over the hill. And then they also have Luis Enrique, who looks to be a really promising young Brazilian winger. So, those are really their only 2 wingers on the roster. So I think you'll see Konrad get on the pitch this year if he goes to Marseille. And, another thing to watch, too, is how this team plays, Pat. So they have Jorge Sampaoli right now, the former manager of Chile, Argentina, Sevilla. He's had some good moments. He's had some bad moments. But with him, he really likes to play a 3-at-the-back system with wing backs. So what you could see is Konrad de la Fuente playing as a wing back to start, the season next year, trying to get some minutes on the field. And this is not unique to him, Pat. We saw Ronald Koeman test him out at wingback earlier in the season with Barcelona. So it could be a good opportunity for him to get on the pitch in Ligue 1 and get minutes right away with Marseille. So I guess I'm going to pitch it to you, Pat, real quick. What do you think of this move for Konrad? And do you think it's a good move, I guess, getting away from Barcelona?
Yeah, I think ultimately it is a good move to get away from Barcelona. And I know we were talking a little bit off camera. I guess my hesitations are still, ultimately Konrad needs playing time. It's a crucial point in his career. I think the move's daring. It's bold. I think he has the opportunity to do great things, especially in Ligue 1. A team that finished close to the top there. Very strong team to get more recognition and eyes on him and just improve his game and skill set. So I think it is a good move. Right now thinking about it, but I do have my concerns again. I just don't want to see him kind of in another scenario. If you don't perform 2 or 3 games, you're inconsistent, maybe you'll be on the bench just because they're in such a crucial spot in Ligue 1 and in competing for Europa League and things like that. So that's my only concerns.
Yeah, and I think that's very fair. But I think if you look at the flip side of the coin, if he stays at Barcelona, he's going to have to compete with Ansu Fati, who's going to be, healthy now this season, and then also Lionel Messi for time on each wing. So it's really just, it's going to be tough, I feel like, for him anywhere where he goes, to be completely honest. If he goes to Marseille, I think he's going to have to prove himself. If he stayed at Barcelona, I think it's, he's really going to have to work hard, and there honestly may not be a path to the first team next year for him. So I like this move, Pat. I know it's a big gamble, or, just moving away from Barcelona seems to be somewhat of a gamble from, his point of view, I'm sure, but he's got to, go for it, prove himself. He's a player that's looking to make that World Cup roster in 2022. And I think if he goes to Marseille and really kills it, he's going to be a lock player for that team and a lock player for us going into a World Cup, which will be really exciting. So hoping for the best for Konrad. Very well could be that he's transferred to Marseille, before this episode drops. So again, wish him all the best. So now, Pat, we're going to move over to another player, one of your favorites.
That's right. My boy with the Pepsi Max sponsorship, hopefully, Ethan Horvath. That Nations League final American hero. He is pretty much, he is done with Club Brugge, Austin. That's it. It's come to an end. Kind of a mix there, bittersweet. He started off pretty solid, had some nervy moments, and then obviously when Simon Mignolet came from Liverpool back in 2019, it was unfortunately kind of over for him, and he was that number 2. So really, Austin, just this past season, quickly, only 340 club minutes. That's not what you want your backup or potentially competing with Steffen for the first spot for the national team to be, in terms of club minutes. Only 1 start in the Jupiler Pro League there, 1 in the playoffs, 1 in the Champions League, as well as the Belgian Cup. So 1 across the boards. And you certainly need him to be playing day in and day out. I guess just obviously with the Nations League, we covered in the last that heroic penalty kick save, some other great saves on Lozano. He really showed out there, Austin. That was so crucial, with this free transfer now this summer with endless possibilities. So just a lot to think about from Horvath's plate. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's a player that really needs to make a good move this summer. And I think you said it best on Twitter. He needs to go to a place where he's going to play and be that number 1 keeper. And, he really seems to be inspired when he plays for the USMNT. His teammates seem to love him. There just seems to be that connection to him. That's kind of uncanny and something that I don't really see when we play with Zack Steffen. And that's no knock on him. I just think it's something about the way Ethan carries himself, I guess, and the way he's respected in the locker room. So I think in order to be kind of like pushing on, encroaching on Zack Steffen's position and kind of dominance over that number 1 spot, he's got to go to a place where he plays consistently and can really challenge himself to go even further, in this future. So, yeah, I'm excited.
All good points, Austin, and just kind of a perfect segue there too. Where does Ethan Horvath go? And we've heard some rumors, but honestly not that much. Tottenham, I know, has been thrown around. Absolutely don't like that at all. Not sure why that's even out. As well as, I think Empoli, promoted from Serie B there, Fortuna Sittard, Charleroi over in Belgium, some other clubs. So I guess just some of the areas that, from my concerns, again, I think Charleroi, he's higher level than that. There has been some talks, obviously, to let go their 40-year-old keeper there. Would be playing day in and day out in the Belgian league, which he's comfortable with, but I certainly think he's well above that level. I guess some of the areas I do like, or the clubs I do like, I should say, Empoli's intriguing to me. Promoted from Serie B, Brignoli there, their goalkeeper, contract's up in a week here. Parma, some other clubs there in Serie A are looking, to sign him there, so he is pretty much out the door. That could be intriguing, playing in Serie A. That's a very competitive league, Austin. And then just, kind of the Eredivisie with Fortuna Sittard is intriguing. I think they finished 11th, kind of the middle back end. They do have some 2 new, fairly young goalkeepers there, I think transferred in from PSV and Hertha. But, I guess with the Eredivisie is kind of intriguing. I even looked at Vitesse. They don't really have their goalkeeper situation is pretty dire and bare. Some goalkeepers left there. They finished 5th or 6th, I believe, in the Eredivisie. And I think that would be kind of intriguing, Austin, just in terms of the league and competition. Again, he needs to be someone that's playing day in and day out, but certainly above that Charleroi level.
Yeah, and I agree with you fully. And I think a league like the Eredivisie would be a great move for him. It's been a club a league that a lot of our players have had success in. Luca de la Torre is, one example of that right now. One of those teams that you mentioned in the Eredivisie would be pretty cool to see, in my opinion. So I think with that, we're going to move over to our third player for today, and that would be Josh Sargent. So Josh is a player that, I feel like we're all under the consensus now that he's going to move this summer. Werder Bremen are really in dire financial straits. They just fired their technical director, and they have no plans to replace him because of financial situations. So
that's rough.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going to need to sell some players, and it sounds like Josh is one of the players on their list to sell this summer. So it sounds like the club is looking for 10 million from him. Some teams have come in with offers of 5 million. Most notably, I think it was Eintracht Frankfurt and Borussia Mönchengladbach. So, we'll have to see kind of how the summer unfolds and kind of where Josh goes. In addition to those two teams, Stuttgart's been rumored to be interested, and also Bayer Leverkusen. So, he's got a lot of interest in the Bundesliga. He's still a 20-year-old player, a striker that scored 7 goals and had 3 assists in a little under 3,000 minutes this season. So not the worst numbers for a player that age. And he's a player that honestly, I think could fit in a lot of different positions, Pat, or a lot of different systems, I should say. He's a tireless worker. We know that. He just has to work on that finishing aspect of his game and really kind of becoming more of a poacher, I think, in order to really just be a striker that's going to, take his game to the next level, be a player that more teams are going to, come in for, and hopefully play at a higher level, honestly, in the future. So I think when you look at some of those teams, and Pat, I'm curious to hear your choice of where he should go this summer as well. But if it was up to me, I think he should go to Stuttgart. I think they have a striker right now in Zaza Kaladzic, who's rumored to be sold this summer. Had a fantastic season in the Bundesliga, 16 goals, 5 assists. Some teams like Tottenham, AC Milan, Roma even have been in to buy him this summer. So I think if he gets sold, some of the figures that have been reported are like 22 million. I think they should, turn some of that money and buy Josh from Bremen, because I think it would be a great deal for them. You got to also look at Stuttgart and see, Pellegrino Matarazzo, an American coach. I think it would really help Josh and just getting integrated into that club right from the start. So honestly, Pat, Stuttgart makes the most sense to me. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right on the same page with you. I think Stuttgart is a great choice for all the reasons you said. And I think just back to some of your points there, he did manage to put up fairly good numbers with probably the most limited touches a striker could have in the Bundesliga, on that sinking ship. And yeah, I think he's just a moldable player, and he has that, I think he has that mentality within him. I'm sure maybe that poacher instinct isn't there, or he's kind of lacking confidence at his previous situation, but I think it's on the greener pastures, Austin. And wherever he goes, it just needs to be the right coach, somebody that kind of believes in him, has the patience there to really develop and mold him into the player that, we know he can be. So I really like Stuttgart as well with you, Austin.
Yeah, and it's interesting you brought up that point where Bremen were pretty anemic all season. They actually had the 3rd lowest goal output in the Bundesliga this year. So just brutal service all season long. He was the top goal scorer on their team this year, again, with 7 goals. So when you really take a look at, they scored 36 on the season. He scored 7. That's, basically a 1/6 of the team's goals this year, a little over. So not too bad, to be completely honest. So, yeah, I think, if he gets into a better situation, a situation that's more positive, has a manager that really has his back and plays him in a situation or a role that suits him more as a striker, then I think he's going to do really well. And I think you're going to see a different player, to be completely honest. I don't think you're seeing the true Josh Sargent right now. I think you're seeing the Florian Kofeld version of Josh Sargent, his manager at Bremen.
That's a great way. That's a great.
Yeah, I'm not his biggest advocate, but he was just always on Josh to be that workman player, that player just runs around and hustles. And I think that's not Josh Sargent. I think the Josh Sargent you saw at the U17 World Cup, the U20 World Cup, scoring all those goals, those clutch goals, I think that's going to be the player that hopefully we'll see in the future. So I think with that, Pat, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back. Well, guys, we're excited to announce the official launch of our merch store, and we have 3 designs to choose from right now. We have this awesome, Young Americans Abroad logo that we're really excited about. We also have a commemorative trophy shirt, so it outlines all the trophies American players won abroad this season, and also has that awesome Nations League final win on there. So, we think that's going to be a fan favorite. We think every USMNT fan should get it just because of how awesome of a season we had this year. And the final design we have available right now is the 2026 or bust design. So, that's a tagline I think we're going to start saying a lot more around here. We think that we're going to win the World Cup one day, so why not win it when it's home in 2026? So, definitely check out those cool designs.
Couldn't agree there more, Austin. And from a product standpoint, we have T-shirts, mugs, pint glasses, sweatshirts, pullover, hoodies, you name it. Just so many options, plenty of options for all you fans to choose from.
That's right. So go help support our show by checking us out there at the merch store. Help support our boys. We do this for our young Americans playing overseas. We're really passionate about the USMNT, and we think some of these, items we're putting online on our merch store are, again, fan favorites and things that, every USMNT fan should buy and, really take pride in and help kind of show off that support for the team. So go check us out. We have the link in the description below. And excited for what the future has to come.
And moving on to the next player, we have Antonee Robinson with Fulham, I guess, currently, Austin. That's probably going to change very soon. Another unfortunate kind of situation there. Relegation, with fellow American Tim Ream there. Definitely didn't want to see that. But I think we all saw the writing on the wall pretty early on to the season there. However, Antonee really did have a solid outing and proved his worth in the Premier League and pretty much caught a bunch of players' eyes and respect, I think, in the league. With over 2,100 minutes, Austin, and 28 appearances. He put in some good shifts against some of the top 4 or 5 that you could say. I know against Liverpool, my Liverpool there, he did fairly well. But yeah, just kind of brings to an interesting case. The left back is in dire need of kind of that next step up, you could say. Staying within the Premier League, he's proven, Austin, that he's capable of defending and going forward and being a productive starting player in that league.
Yeah, and he was rated as, I believe, the 4th best left back in the Premier League for a stretch of time in the season. So, there should be a lot of interest in him this summer. There's been some teams that have had that, had some rumored interest so far. Most notably, I think Man City is looking for kind of a backup left back, but it sounds like that interest has cooled a little bit. So, I'm excited to see where he goes, Pat. I think, like you said, he's a proven Premier League defender. There's not too many, players that are on the market proven in the Premier League right now. So, I think he's going to go somewhere. I think he's got a home in the Premier League.
Yeah, and with the the potential for homes, Austin, there could be many here. We've heard some rumors floating around. West Ham, they have Aaron Crespo is 31, I think approaching 32. Could make a push there, to capture that spot, give them some rest there, especially with the additional competition that they'll be having as they finish so well.
Right.
So that's kind of an intriguing spot, Austin. But and I guess just to note out quickly, I think AC Milan was rumored in the past. We heard that with the medical component there not being completed in time for the transfer. Things circulating around that. I just don't think. Obviously, with Milan, it's great to see them back in the Champions League. But with Theo Hernandez and just kind of the roster they have built out, I just don't think that's a move that will ever materialize again. And I think he should stay in the Premier League. I think he's comfortable with it. It's a league he, again, like we kind of touched on, he's proved his worth there. But I think some intriguing teams, and one of my, I think, favorites here, which hasn't really been mentioned, is Leeds United, Austin.
Ooh, okay.
Left back there, it looks like he's on his way out. We need more depth. Kind of a unique situation. Leeds had that, everybody loves Leeds, it seems like, and they had that great rise in the Premier League, and they did fairly well this past season. Caused some rumblings there. So I think that could be a great home for Antonee.
Yeah, that's a great shout, Pat. That's a team I hadn't really thought of before, but now that you say it, yeah, that could be. They're definitely on the up and up. I think they're kind of in that same category as like Wolverhampton Wanderers, where they had that quick rise to the Premier League in the sense of in that first season they did really well, and now it seems like Wolves are going to be around for a good while in the Premier League, and I get that same feeling from Leeds. So to have a player on a team like that should be challenging for Europa League next year, yeah, I think that could be a great step in the right direction. So yeah, great shout, Pat. I like that move.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, I think that'd be a great fit. I think Aston Villa has been floated around as well, Austin. They have some left back needs.
Oh, okay.
And maybe the style too could fit there in terms of kind of, what they're trying to do, moving their outside backs forward, getting more crosses in the box. We've seen him, prove some success there. So, again, I'm still sticking with Leeds. I think that's the best move, but, don't be surprised if we see Antonee Robinson back in the Premier League sooner than you know it.
Yeah, that's the hope at least. And to stay in the Premier League, for our final player today, we're going to talk about Zack Steffen. So, Zack came off injured in the Nations League final. It sounds like it was just a knee bruise that shouldn't keep him out for too long. So I know that was something we were worried about right after that game. We were hoping that injury didn't derail his whole summer. And, I think looking at what Zack needs to do in preparation again for the World Cup, and also in preparation for potentially a goalkeeper battle with Ethan Horvath. Matt Turner had a heck of a game the other night. I think Zack Steffen needs to be playing somewhere, and he needs to be challenging himself. This season was great, Pat, seeing him in the Champions League final, seeing him raise the Premier League trophy, also win a cup trophy with Man City. That was great experience, but I think, I speak for the both of us in saying that it would be really good to see him in a starting position for a team this year, whether that's on loan or a full transfer away from Man City. So just to go into Zack's last season a little bit, he did end up playing a little over 1,000 minutes in all competitions. I believe he took part in 12 games last year for Man City. So he got on the pitch, a decent amount of times. But again, 12 times is not, nearly as much as some starting goalkeepers are getting minutes for their other teams. It's just, it's not the same. So I think when you look again at where he could go, kind of what teams are available, Pat, what teams have, goalkeeping needs, I think you look at the Premier League first, and then I think you look at the Bundesliga, 2 leagues he's very familiar with. And in the Premier League, again, it's kind of similar to Antonee Robinson. I think you see a team like West Ham that's got some aging goalkeepers with, Lucas Fabianski. Darren Randolph is also getting up there in age. So, he could be a great addition to that goalkeeping, goalkeeping room, I guess, Pat. I don't know if there's a word that you'd say for the,
I know what you mean.
the goalkeepers union or whatever. But I think he could be a great option for them, just to give them a little bit more depth with multiple competitions that they're playing in this year. It would just give them kind of a younger option and someone that, they could rely on, especially if, injuries occur, things like that. And I don't say that to think that he's the backup going in there. I think he could go in and win the starting job and, again, provide them with some coverage as well, just some more options. Another team, a little lesser up the ladder, but definitely has a need at goalkeeper is Watford. It's not probably the most glamorous destination for him, but it is a team in the Premier League, a team that he would definitely, walk into and be the starting goalkeeper for them. I just think, he could do a little bit better than that personally. So I'm not super on board with that. When you look at the Bundesliga, there's really 3 teams I identified that could use someone of his caliber and also hopefully pay that the wages he's on right now at Man City. And that would be Mainz, Freiburg, and then also Union Berlin. So Freiburg, are a team that he played for in the past. So, a little bit of familiarity, Pat, but also maybe some not so great memories there as well. We did hear that his time there was a little rough. So,
unwanted business, though. Maybe you'll want to come back.
Yeah, prove himself. Hey, I mean, that's what we're looking from our players. Looking for from our players. So that would be an interesting destination to me. And then Union Berlin, Pat, I think is another mid-table Bundesliga team. They have Loris Karius, who's not playing well at all, and actually I think got benched this year. So they could use a keeper, Pat.
Boo! No, I'm just. I heard you mention Loris Karius, but I think Steffen Austin again. He's the number one keeper right now for the U.S. national team with Horvath, and Matt Turner breathing down his neck, kind of for that 2 and 3. Maybe not that close, but at the same time, not that far away anymore. And I know it's been tossed around, and if he stays at Man City at the end of the year, I think that's just a lost opportunity, and we need him playing day in and day out, getting into different situations, good and bad, because there's going to be different, parts of the game, some blunders, mistakes. But if you can cut that out, during the World Cup qualifying, and fingers crossed, I really hope we're not jinxing this. But if we're in the World Cup and he still hasn't been a starter and hasn't played over 2,000 plus minutes, I don't think that's a good sign at all, Austin. So I think, again, at some of the teams you mentioned, maybe not that Watford, like you said, a little bit above, but he certainly has that Premier League quality, that mid-table. I certainly think he could, springboard into one of those teams there, fighting at the mid or upper level. And then maybe he won't be, a Man City starter. Maybe that's not where he'll end up ultimately. But I certainly think he could be a top 6 or 7 keeper in the Premier League.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pat. And I think the tough thing right now in the Premier League is there's a lot of established keepers and a lot of keepers that teams have their hopes and dreams on right now. You look at some teams like Brighton, Brentford that's coming up, who have a really exciting team. Leeds have a great keeper. Wolves have a great keeper. A lot of these teams that are mid-table, even like Everton with Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, they really do.
They all have these established keepers that are doing things either internationally or even just they've made a great name for themselves in the Premier League. I think you look at Emiliano Martinez, the dude on Aston Villa right now from Arsenal. He's killing it, and he's arguably a less glamorous name, I'd say, in the Premier League in terms of top goalkeepers in the Premier League. So I think we'll have to see where Zack goes. He very well could stay at Man City another year, and as much as I wouldn't like it, I don't think it's the worst move for him. I think there could be worse situations to be in than sitting and being coached by Pep Guardiola. So I think with that, Pat, that's it for this part of our episode today. So that's all for episode today, guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
Make sure to check out that quality content on social media channels or platforms, I should say, Instagram, Twitter, always providing great stuff for you guys.
And also our episodes available in podcast form on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So make sure you follow us there, leave a review, 5-star review preferably. And I think we got one more thing to add to the list, Pat.
Yeah, some other 5-star caliber merch here, Austin. I mean,
count them, Pat, on your shirt. 5 stars.
That's right. Look at that. I mean, the Young Americans Abroad, the new logo, the new merch. Again, everything's out there. Check the description. We're really proud of it. We're proud of the brand and how we're developing here. And just for all you fans and just the excitement around the program, Austin, finally winning something. We're really building again to that one goal. But it's just so exciting. It feels like we all have a reason to be happy again watching the national team.
Yeah, it really felt like that, all season, seeing the trophies that we won, seeing just some of the press we've been getting, on ESPN, on, some of the major news networks here in America. Christian Pulisic on Good Morning America the other day. I think that's going to be, the regular in the lead up to the 2026 World Cup. I think you're going to see a lot of that media, scrutiny of this team and just kind of that those good vibes that we got this year. And what a way to cap it off too with the Nations League final. And again, it's all commemorated in this awesome shirt. So make sure you check that out. And like Pat said, this is leading to one thing, and that is one day we will win the World Cup.